YouTube, how we doing? Past the prop, NFL back here, ready to roll. It is playoff time, man. It is wild card weekend. I think they're calling it super wild card weekend now that we're adding in some more playoff teams, right? These last couple of years, and they call it super wild card now. So we're excited, ready to break it down with you. Joined as always by my guy Stu. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Fighting through some, seasonal flu stuff that, we were just talking about before the show. Seems like it's gotten half the world. It finally got me. So, we're going to power through. We got some great games to talk about. Couldn't miss this one. We got a fantastic guest. So, yeah, I'm excited to dive into the games.
Yes, sir. You mentioned it, Ryan. Joining us, Ryan Reynolds. I'm super excited to have you on the show, man. How have you been doing? How's NFL been treating you?
Yeah, good, man. I'm a football guy, so this is the time of year we all love cold weather. Like Monotone over here said, I'm also battling through the flu a little bit, so I could do without that. But looking forward to talking shop with you dudes.
Yeah, it's almost like we got that Jordan flu game here, guys. Yeah. We're coming in, just dropping some winners here for you guys with some sickness. I know it's everywhere, man. Even with like the warmer weather around the country, I just feel like it's been kind of wild. So. But yeah, we get to talk a lot of games, and I'm super excited. Obviously, you guys know I'm a little biased Packers fan here. I grew up in Green Bay, so it's been fun living right on the border, right on Milwaukee border. Here we have it's probably like 60-40 Packer Bears fans, so it's been an interesting week for me at work, and seeing enough Bears fans popping through. So it's always a fun time to see those guys match up in the playoffs.
100%. You couldn't ask for better games. I mean, I was going through just talking with my friends. They're not huge football guys, but just casual fans. And I think even these are games that they're going to be excited for as well, especially when you got the division rivalry, stuff like that. You got some interesting storylines like May versus Herbert, just a ton of good matchups. And hopefully we can get you guys some winners. Hopefully we have some good thoughts today and even, maybe a prop bet here or there.
Awesome. We got Ryan in here saying he's getting over the flu as well. So hopefully it goes through you guys quick and it's not too bad for you guys. But we can get this thing rolling. I'm super excited. Obviously, last show we didn't have any bets. We just got to recap our futures, and we had, like I said, we get to kind of recap our Jacksonville to win the AFC from Stu, the plus 550 on Seattle from your boy. What is I want to go over to you, Ryan. Obviously, me and Stu talk a lot. What was your biggest surprise from these division winners? Because it's been those were crazy odds on a lot of those. Seattle was the last ranked team to win that division before the season started. So I'm always curious what you think here about all these teams and any of them surprise you.
Yeah, I would go with Seattle too. It's funny that Stu picked the Jaguars because I wrote in a national magazine this year where I had to pick every division winner, and I picked the Bears and Jaguars, and I was very proud of that. Great minds, Stu. Seattle, definitely. I picked the Rams to play the Bills before the season in the Super Bowl, so I am not stunned that the Seahawks were competitive. I'm shocked they're a 13-14 win team and the number one seed in the NFC for sure.
Yeah, I feel like we are a very pro Mike McDonald podcast here. I know me and Stu were talking him before even the Coach of the Year stuff at the beginning of the year, and obviously sometimes it feels good to be right once in a while when everybody else is kind of on other spots. But yeah, we were talking about Darnold last show too, just kind of taking that step up in those big games. He's normally been losing, so I'm interested to see him once they get off that first round bye. So. I think it's time. You want to get into it, Stu? You guys ready to go?
Ready to go. And I will say before we get into this too, if you're not following Ryan right now, you guys need to change that. There are not many people that post free actionable content on Twitter. In fact, I think you could almost count on your hand how many people do that now. Smart, analytical, film-based opinions are hard to come by, and he posts his for free every single week. So I would definitely recommend you check that out. Just wanted to get that out there before we hop into the games.
Too kind, pal. Too kind. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we do have his Twitter, or I don't know. I don't know what to call it now. If I call it your Twitter bot, if it's your X, I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, the description, it's in the description of the video here, the link to him over there. So make sure you go follow. And let's get it started. We'll start with the first game of the week. We have the Rams at Panthers, which is just wild to see a home team as a double-digit dog in this spot, but hey, it's the NFC South, right? We until something changes, they're going to continue having home games. And Ryan, I guess I'll kick it over to you to start us off. Obviously, we saw this matchup, a couple weeks back, and Stafford threw 2 or 3 picks, 1 pick 6 in that game. So an interesting spot to now get them as almost 2 touchdown favorites is pretty wild here. Any thoughts for you on this one?
Yeah, the regular season matchup between these two teams might have been the biggest surprise in a single game for me all year. It was at least up there, especially with how it played. The Rams, it was still pretty close despite Stafford just turning the ball over multiple times. But I said last week, I think the Rams are going to annihilate Carolina if they get to play them again. So I thought the line was going to be 10.5 too. Obviously the odds makers are very good at what they do. So no surprise there. It's Rams or pass for me. I do think I lean under, though. I think it's something like 27-13, 27-10, 27, something in that range. So I'm going to lean under. I like the under more than the spread because I think the spread's perfect.
Yeah, I think if I had to set the spread, it would be 10.5 as well. I think if you ever got to like a 9.5 or something like that, I might be a little bit more tempted for the Rams because I do agree. I think they can win by margin in this game. I mean, the Panthers made the playoffs in the most Panthers way possible, right? I mean, an embarrassing primetime game, and then they have to depend on another team to get them in the playoffs. It's hard to have any kind of confidence in this team. And it's interesting because obviously schematically, the Rams are really strong on defense, but they're not the most talented defense in the world individually. I do feel like if you have some elite weapons on the other side, you can take advantage of some things that other teams can't. But I just don't think the Panthers are the right team to take advantage of those weaknesses. I mean, like you said, we had to rely on a lot of turnovers last game for the Panthers to stay in this one. What I will follow is I just think it'll be interesting how the Rams handle this running game early, right? Because the Rams defend more run snaps with nickel defenses than any team in football. So they're really trusting their defensive backs to get out there and tackle. And Dowdle and Hubbard have kind of not looked as good in the second half of the season. They obviously had, especially Dowdle, hit that kind of ceiling midway through the year. Maybe he's been banged up a little bit or something since then. But if the Panthers can slow this game down and really keep it, ugly, I think that's kind of their path to victory. I'm not confident that they can convert on enough key third downs to make that happen. And what I'm looking for too, I think we got to see at least a couple deep shots from Bryce Young early. I think you got to keep him honest. I think Tet probably needs to be the target. And first drive is what I'm thinking. Like I'd be really aggressive because you're 10-point dogs. You got to lean into the variance. I think that's their best path. I just don't, especially on defense. I think their defense is not really talked about enough as not being very good. And I think the Rams should mostly be able to score at will in this game. So I think the Rams probably win by margin, but I agree. I probably have to lean the under on the total, but I'm not going to be betting it.
Yeah, I think it's tough too because I've mentioned this a couple of times that they're one of the best first half teams in terms of scoring, right? The Rams, they're one of those better first half teams that jump out on you. And I think it's a tough spot because what happens if they get up, right? What happens if they get up 2 touchdowns? Bryce Young having to be in like passing situations with that defensive line just sending it at you. I just kind of get nervous to see him in a spot like that. I know they're at home and you can give that as many. I mean, if this was at the Rams, it's probably 2 full touchdowns, honestly. But I'm worried about that. And also, I remember Dowdle. I mean, he was getting 30 carries a game when Hubbard was out. I remember I was at the Packer game. I was there when he just demoralized everything, just running the ball every single time. So I'm interested to see what Canales does. Obviously, he's done a pretty good job with the talent that's around there with the injuries that have been happening as well. But that run game for the Rams, man, I think they should just bully these dudes, honestly. I really think it's going to be a bully ball type of game. And I liked what I've been seeing from Corum, too. I know Stu had a bet on him, and I know we got a little sour taste in his mouth, after he got hurt in the second quarter, but that dude runs fucking hard, man. That dude runs hard, and I'm really, really intrigued to see what Carolina does defensively against those guys, because now you just bring Adams in, and it's just like they're running all these 3 tight end sets, with Adams out, and I'm really interested to see if they can slow down that running game, because we saw against Arizona, dude, they ran the ball I think in the first half 6 or 7 times in a row. I was watching that game, they just didn't care because they couldn't get stopped. So I'm curious to see what McVay does. Obviously a phenomenal coaching spot for him to make a little run here. So I think I would lean with the Rams. That total is kind of weird for me, man. I don't know what I would do. I'm staying away on that. Maybe we'll have a couple props, but I don't think I'm going to have a bet on this one overall.
The one thing I'll say for props, I know you gave Corum some hype, but I will say earlier in the year, Corum's involvement directly correlated with a Sean McVay quote where they were like, we got to have Kyron Williams healthy for the playoffs. And I think Corum has done enough to keep that role. Like, he's ran with it and he's looked really good. But I do think they're going to rotate drives until the game is on the line. And then I think Kyron Williams will be in there. So for me, that would probably be my preferred running back, because I kind of agree. I don't know if the Panthers are going to be able to slow down that running game in this one.
Good looks there. Yeah, obviously the receiving game, obviously you lean a bit more towards Kyron as well. But yeah, you kind of can see that in the attempts market too. Where I think Corum's at like 9.5 and you're seeing like 15.5, 14.5 for Kyron. So, 60, 40, 65, 35 type of split. But obviously all the passing game upside going more towards Kyron here. So this game is a little bit closer to my heart. Obviously, I'll give as much as I can. I try to be as unbiased as I can, but this is a tough one to, get there. But we've been just seeing this spread ping pong back and forth. I know yesterday or Monday on show, Bears were minus 1.5, but the Packers were minus 108 money line. And now it's flipped to Packers minus 1.5. And it's like, dude, this is really weird in it, because I think the Bears are minus 102 now on the money line, but plus 1.5 on it. So it's just kind of all over the place. So I guess, you're taking money line regardless if you're betting these games anyway. So, Stu, I'll kick it to you to start. I'll wait till the end, because obviously I'm a little more invested in this one than most as a pretty diehard Packer fan here.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting. If you're like a teaser bettor, at different times in the week, I think both teams are pretty live for a tease. Like, whoever's got the 1.5, or because I think it's going to be a close game. And I think this is, as we saw in the regular season, it's probably going to go down to the wire. A couple, key third downs, high variance plays, who cannot turn the ball over is probably going to decide this game. You obviously have some of the best coaches in football as well. Ben Johnson kind of on his ascent right now. And it's interesting because obviously I think this game is going to be kind of centered around the run game. Like, I think out of all the things that stick out, I think I kind of like the under in this game at 45.5. I think both teams are probably going to be pretty run heavy. We obviously saw the Bears out of their bye week, play fantastic football on the ground. And then that opened up a lot of play action stuff. And Caleb is obviously taking advantage of it downfield. I love Luther Burden as well. I've been saying this all season long. I think he's the best wide receiver on that team since the day he was drafted. I still think that way. And I'm glad the market is moving more towards that direction now. Even I don't mind some Odunze unders, honestly, in this game. But yeah, I think it's going to be a close one. I think it's going to be down to the wire, and I don't really have a super strong opinion on who I think is going to win. If I had to bet it, I think I'd probably take the Packers, just because I do have a little bit more trust in them in these playoff situations. Obviously, Williams is going to kind of have to be learning on the fly a little bit more out there. And obviously, Ben Johnson can scheme up a lot of guys open. He's fantastic at that. They've done great at it, and he's done a pretty good job at, hitting those really difficult throws. But when we get very down to the wire, it's like, what squad do I trust a little bit more right here? I think I have to have a slight lean for the Packers. But honestly, this is one I probably won't have too many bets on. I think I'll just be pretty excited to watch.
Awesome, Ryan. But to you, man, what is your thoughts? I know you mentioned that you were up in the Midwest before, lived up here before, so you know how crazy this rivalry gets when you're around the area. So, any thoughts here on the Packers Bears and possibly the total?
So I live in Jersey, but where I watch football is at my buddy's house, and he's a Bears fan. So there's Bears paraphernalia everywhere. He's flying to the game this weekend. Nice. I'll call him the biggest Bears fan in the country, if I'm being honest. So I get to watch the Bears. The Bears are on the main TV when they're on the 1:00 slate, so I get to see them live, meaning no condensed version. Like, I see them, every snap as it happens. I probably know more about them than any other team in the league. Here's one thing I'll give you guys. In the first matchup between these teams, Green Bay generated the overwhelming majority of their offense by picking up blitzes and getting chunk plays through the air. Christian Watson, with his speed in particular, is a big one. In the second matchup, Dennis Allen seemed like he was going to bring much less pressure. And then when Love went out and Malik Willis came in, different game plan. It's one of the reasons I really like Matt LaFleur as a coach. How he was able to pivot in game strategically was just – I watch every game as if I was the middle linebacker. Like, where's my first step? Where's this? It's just I've been so impressed with what he's done with Willis when he plays. That said, I do think Allen's going to go back to that. I don't think he's going to bring pressure. I think he's going to play. I think he's going to play more coverage. I think that could open up opportunities in the run game against soft fronts early on. That's something I'll be looking for. And when it comes to the Bears, I'll lean Bears. I do find it interesting, like you pointed out, that this is swap between -1 and -1.5 on both sides. I also would lean under, small lean Bears. But here's what it really boils down to: can Green Bay stop the run? If they can, Chicago's in trouble, because I think that's been the one weakness in Green Bay's defense for the last half decade. I'd say is they've gotten better in that phase than they were 3-4 years ago, but you can run the ball on them. And if Caleb Williams, he's been the most consistent he's been in his NFL career to date the last month. A lot of his completion percentage is built off. He has a lot of throwaways. He has an abnormal amount of batted passes this year too. So I think that stuff's a little bit. I don't want to use the word inaccurate, but I think it's better than the numbers would indicate. In the last four weeks, he's been really, really strong in that area. The other thing that I've caught with him is the last month, maybe the last 5 weeks, when he extends plays now, he's starting to look for kill shots more often. So that's fascinating. And the reason I bring that up specifically, if Micah Parsons was available in this game, I haven't seen anyone be able to stick with Caleb Williams when he breaks out of contain like Parsons has. That's a negative for Green Bay too. Again, I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be like 24-20 type game. Small lean Chicago, like you guys. I'm just more interested in watching it than betting on it though.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of the same way. I rarely bet in the Packer games just because I'm already pretty invested. I'm already it's pretty. It's it's up here when you live 15 minutes. Like I grew up 15 minutes from Lambeau, so you get that type of vibe right from when you grow up. But I think my biggest thing here is it's tough. Obviously, Micah Parsons going out. I say it ad nauseum too. Losing Wyatt was probably one of the biggest losses that no one talks about because obviously Micah Parsons was in the same game, so everybody started talking about that. But my God, dude, that guy is just a run stuffer. That dude takes up two dudes every time he's in there. And obviously when you have a team like this, who leans on that offensive line, who's been very, very good. I think that this is going to be a spot too, where I get to put trust. If I'm going to put a bet in this game, you already know I'm probably going back to my boy Cooper to make those plays. He's going to have to make those plays. He's going to have to be able to go sideline to sideline. One of the fastest linebackers in the NFL. Again, a guy that really doesn't get talked about much in the national media. But I think he's going to have to be there. I watched the first game. That was the play that everybody was like, oh, Cooper got rocked. I don't know if you guys saw that highlight on NFL Network where him and Monangai met in the middle and I think part of the decal flew off the helmet because they just met on each other and it was like -5 degrees. I think it's going to be that type of ball game, right? It's going to be a lot of running, a lot of downhill stuff. And I'm going to put faith in my Packers, obviously. Obviously, I'm going to think that way. And hopefully they can get some pressure on Caleb and make him kind of, do those crazy things. And that's where you see him throwing away a lot more. But hopefully makes a couple more mistakes because, Love, I know he threw the pick in that game, but, one of the least amount of interceptions in the NFL still. He's been really good in the pocket. And hopefully he's going to have to use his legs a little bit too this week. And he doesn't really do it much, but I think that's going to be a spot you're going to have to in a game like this.
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to add too is just is the Bears defense talented enough to keep generating turnovers at the rate that they are? I mean, it's obviously impressive. You have to give them credit for it. And they are getting healthier as well, which has been pretty big this year. But I don't know. It's when it comes down to it and just the rate that the Bears have generated turnovers this year, that's kind of one of my biggest red flags of I just don't know how long you can continue to do that, especially when it feels like they're so comfortable in these negative trailing game scripts. It's playoff time is not the time you want to be in that situation, obviously under the lights. So I don't know. It feels like a coin flip to me, but I'm kind of, and it's funny. I started the week actually wanting to back the Bears. And honestly, I don't even hate maybe the Bears is a Super Bowl kind of bet. Because I do think that there's a path where they can, keep generating explosives, keep running the ball and do enough on defense, especially when it matters the most to beat almost anyone. I think Caleb's ceiling is as high as almost anyone in the league. It's just are you going to be able to also march down the field against cover 2 and be patient? And, it's interesting. And I think both quarterbacks actually have that problem as well. Jordan Love is a bit of a home run hitter himself. So are you going to be able to be cautious enough, take those, 15, 10-yard throws instead of, going for the Christian Watson deep bomb every time?
No, yeah, no, that's kind of what I know. Last year at nauseum, betting Jordan Love longest completion was like an auto bet, because the dude at least 2 to 3 times a game, at least 2 or 3 times a game. It's like one of them's down there. We'll make it happen. Obviously, this is a game I wish we had Tucker Kraft, man. I really wish he was back. There's a lot of big dudes out for the Packers right now, and that obviously that sucks. But everybody's going through that, right? Everybody's going through those at this point in the year, and the healthiest teams usually are the ones that make those types of runs. All right, moving to Sunday. We only have 2 games on Saturday, so we get to move to Sunday. And that Saturday game, Amazon Prime, really, dude? Like, we're all over the place with these freaking. How many different things do I need to watch all of these things? And I will say NFL has done a lot better than college basketball. I need like 17 apps to watch college basketball, to watch the teams I want. Peacock, all the Flow, like all this stuff. It's crazy. But now I got to go to Amazon to watch that game. So what happened to just Fox and CBS? Just put them on those. I want to watch it. So, but now I have to keep track of all these games and where they're getting put on because it's just all over the place. So we get to move to, the highest total by a decent margin here. And it is the Buffalo Bills -1.5 right now, traveling to Stu's Jaguars. Obviously, we've been paying attention to Jacksonville pretty closely these last couple weeks with the futures bets and obviously talking about them and the Seahawks. But we get this great game, right? We get Josh Allen on the road heading to Jacksonville. We're used to seeing Josh Allen in these snow games in the playoff. We're not seeing that now. I'm sure you're going to get some nice weather out there. I'll let you take it away here, Ryan. Start us off. We got Buffalo at -1.5. Huge total. Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I was surprised the total was this high. Like even a 27-24 game goes under, so I like the under in this. I'll give you this caveat. Like I said, I picked the Jaguars to win the South before the season started. I think of all the playoff teams, I have the worst read on them out of everyone here. I'm not sure if they're even better than I thought they were going to be, or if they're just playing out of their shoes a little bit here. I do think Liam Cohen's gotten Trevor Lawrence back on track. I think this is the new reality for him. It's just everything else. I see this game being more like a 24-20 game. I'm going to lean towards Buffalo's side, given their experience in these matchups, with the one caveat that I think Jacksonville genuinely has a better non-quarterback roster than Buffalo. Buffalo has I think if I said this before the season, if Josh Allen missed all of the season, the Bills would turn into the Curtis Painter Colts, where like they might pick first overall following season. So not much conviction on the spread. I do like the under though.
Yeah, I mean, Buffalo probably weakest non-quarterback roster in the postseason, So, I mean, it's interesting. I think I can see a lot of good arguments on both sides. I think one, like Jacksonville's secondary is a little bit untested. When you look at Jacksonville kind of going on this awesome run in the second half of the year, they obviously took care of business against the Broncos, but there was a decent amount of stat padding in those games as well, beating the crap out of the Titans, beating the crap especially out of the Jets. I mean, that game was pretty insane. So, I feel like a lot of people are taking away credit from the Patriots right now due to their strength of schedule. And it's like Jacksonville also did kind of do the same thing where they went up by margin against bad teams. But that being said, at the end of the day, you're presented the teams you're presented, and it's your job to go out there and take care of business. And they did just that. And once again, they also did it with a playoff team like the Broncos, and they also did it with no offensive line Chargers as well. So Jacksonville's shown me a lot. I wish Buffalo had some better wide receivers. I think that's kind of what it comes down to. If I wanted to click on Buffalo, like I've been looking at Allen longest completion, honestly, in this game a decent amount because I don't know who it's going to be. And I don't even know if the Buffalo receivers know who it's going to be. I think they play roulette on the sideline. I mean, Brandon Cooks 1 week. I mean, it's Shavers the other. It's kind of crazy. I really don't like that their best receiver only can play clear passing downs right now in Dalton Kincaid. I mean, he's a part-time player playing more in the week 18 garbage time game than he is in a regular season game. That's a little bit concerning to me. Like, I don't know. And at the end of the day, every serious game I've watched Buffalo play, you can run the hell out of the ball against them. I mean, maybe it's going to get better here, but I haven't seen enough to convince me otherwise. So I like Jacksonville in the game. I think it's going to be a close one. I'm scared of what Trevor Lawrence looks like in the fourth quarter against an experienced Josh Allen, who we know is the best quarterback on the planet right now. And that's always going to be a very scary bet. But at the end of the day, I think Jacksonville is pretty serious. I think they're very well coached on both sides of the ball. And I think they're going to be in it till the very end right here. And I do agree with you guys on the under. 51 feels a little bit high, especially if Jacksonville does lean in more into like ETN in the ground game. And we obviously know, I mean, it's Rin and James Cook's contract contract. He's got to get his 18 touches a game on the Buffalo side as well. The other final concern I have is Josh Allen's ankle. I mean, taped up the last couple weeks, multiple, imaging. Obviously, none of it came back negative. But if I really want full confidence in Buffalo, I feel like Allen's got to do a lot of it himself, and that's kind of including the ground game. And I'm just a little bit concerned if even we're at 80%, we're maybe not running, we're maybe not hitting, top speed as much as usual. Like, that's a little bit scary when I do feel like, I mean, Jacksonville hasn't faced a mobile quarterback all year. Go through every single game. They face nobody. So we don't know exactly how they're going to handle this puzzle. I assume they'll have a pretty solid game plan, but I'd want 100% Josh Allen to be able to run over some linebackers. And that probably does happen. They probably get him on whatever they give Aaron Rodgers before every game, but I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit scary. It's in the back of my mind. So I think it's going to be a close one, but I'm hoping Jacksonville takes care of business here.
Yeah, dude, I think I lean a little bit more towards Jacksonville than I thought I was going to. Just kind of looking through and just looking at these different options. Like the game that keeps popping in my head, just because it was a primetime game, was that Falcons game. It was the Bills Falcons, and it was literally just two players. It was, you knew the ball was going to Bijan, and you knew the ball was going to go to Drake London, and they ended up with like 340 yards with the two dudes. And now I'm looking around, and I'm like, damn, I didn't realize Jacksonville actually had this many, explosive guys on the outside. Obviously, I had Parker Washington in fantasy. It was really good for me down the stretch. Brenton Strange, I was not expecting. I was not expecting that at the beginning of the season. And obviously, Liam Cohen coming over there, obviously making a big difference on the offensive side of the ball there. But also, we also watched 2-3 weeks ago, the Browns playing the Bills. That was 3 points? It was a 3-point game with Shador in his second start, and I'm like, oh my god, or second or third start, whatever it was. But man, I don't know. That just those types of games where they just lay an egg, and it just I'm like, you have the best player on the field at almost all times when you're on offense. How are we not scoring more? How are we not doing more in these spots? And you're letting these teams stay in ball games, right? And you have the home field advantage down there in Jacksonville. I didn't think I would. Maybe this will be like one of those teaser things that we kind of talked about with the Packers and Bears, since we think it's going to be a one-possession game. Maybe that I get Jacksonville at 7.5 on a 6-point, something like that. But I don't know, man. I kind of lean with Jacksonville a little bit more than I thought I would when these matchups came out. So I think that's where I kind of lean there. But like I said, I don't know if I would just take it as a straight plus 1.5, obviously. But I don't know. I was a little more impressed with them, or a little bit, I was thinking a little bit more about this one than I thought I was going to, especially with that total. I think that kind of leans a little bit more into a chuck it around game versus James Cook running the ball 25 times type of game,
Yeah, and I mean, obviously Jacksonville's rush defense has been really good this year, just consistently really good. And, the Bills have been able to run on good rush defenses as well this year. They've had success there. You got to worry about Josh Allen at all times, which makes it a tad bit easier, his gravity, to run the ball. And James Cook has just been phenomenal. I mean, no way to disguise that as well. So it's going to be a good one. I mean, it's funny when you think of Trevor Lawrence over the years, right? If you said this a couple of years ago, I'd be like, oh yeah, it's the faces of the league, with the early Trevor Lawrence hype. And then maybe a year or so ago, you're like, oh, I don't know if Trevor's even in the playoffs at this point. So it's kind of cool to see his rise. But at the end of the day, if people are going to look at this game and go, Josh Allen is better than Trevor Lawrence, I want to bet on Josh Allen, I'm not going to hate on that kind of logic. At the end of the day, it is Josh Allen. But I do think Jacksonville can do enough things in this game to give them a chance to win.
Guys, one of the reasons I love doing stuff like this is when you have a stance where you're not super convicted on it, you're on the fence, especially when you're on the more public side of it, which I think Buffalo is. I think people are, casual people are going to gravitate towards Buffalo. Then you talk to two smart dudes and they start pulling on everything that gives you concern with your side. I think you guys talked me out of Buffalo.
Well, and I will say, Buffalo has gotten sharp money almost every week near tip as well, or near kickoff. So there are people in market that absolutely love Buffalo, very smart people as well. And I do think there's going to be some surprisingly good last minute prices on Jacksonville. That's something I'll be watching very closely before kick, because we've seen Sunday money come in on the Bills. I mean, almost every single week to end the year, including even last year with the Trubisky backups where it moved a 1.5 points. So that is interesting. And it's something I'll be monitoring if we can get an even better number on Jacksonville.
Yeah. And my last point is just kind of, leaning into the props a little bit. Obviously that we're a prop show most of the time here. The ankle thing kind of bothers me because we bet these playoff games every year. Obviously, we've done this is the 4th year of our show. Josh Allen in these games, in these close games, runs so much more, right? Runs so much more in these games where you kind of know, like it comes down to right now. And we look at these games that they've had over the last 5 weeks, right? Or we'll go 4 weeks because obviously he didn't play in the Jets game outside of starting it. But a 1-point loss to Philly, had 7 carries in a 3-score game or 3-point game against Cleveland. 4-point game against New England, 11 carries, right? Like those are the types of games you start to see them, run a little more. But if that ankle ain't 100%, I kind of, I just kind of get a little nervous because, what's a better, 3rd and 2 play than running a 250-pound quarterback that is going to truck any linebacker in his way. So if he's not 100% healthy, I kind of feel like I have to go, lean a little bit more towards Jacksonville in this spot.
Yeah, and I haven't seen anything on practice. I mean, he's obviously going to play 100%. There's no doubt about it. It's just like, it's interesting because his rush attempts number is 7.5. And in 3 straight years of playoff games, he has not gone under that number.
Yeah.
So I feel like that number is almost telling you something in a way.
Exactly.
Just with where it's at. And maybe it closes 8.5 and it goes more normal. And I don't know, maybe the money isn't there yet. But to me, it just, I don't know. I just can't get that out of the back of my head because if I do want the Bills to win this game, I really do think Josh is going to need to use his legs, especially in like the red zone. And like you said, those short yardage plays where he's been, pretty unstoppable over these last couple of years.
Awesome. I think we got enough on that game. We have 110 of you guys across Twitter and YouTube. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat. We obviously appreciate you guys joining us and joining our guest, Ryan, with us here as well. We get to move on now. We're going to I believe this is the nightcap, right, of Sunday night. There's 3 on Sunday, and then I think there's a Monday game, right? There's the Monday game in here. So we get San Francisco, the big one here, right? San Fran. I believe I'm looking on DK right now. I believe they're 4.5 point dogs at Philly. Over unders at 44.5 in this one. I think this is the most intriguing game, to be honest. When I'm not looking as a rose-colored glasses with the Packers game, obviously that one I can't really count because it's close to home. But man, this is a fun game, man. I don't even know where I want to go here yet. Obviously, there's going to be probably a decent amount of props I play in this game. But Stu, you want to take us away to start us off? Philly, I know they're in the NFC East with your Commanders, so I know you're a Washington homer here, but talk to us a little bit about this Philly spot.
Yeah, for the second straight year, I do have some Eagles to win the Super Bowl again, so I wouldn't mind if that ended up happening. I don't think they're obviously as good of a team as last year. I did, when this opened at 3 to 3.5, I did almost click Philly at -3 as well. 4.5 feels a lot more fair, and honestly, I didn't even expect it to get out that much. But San Francisco is pretty simple. The defense is, been a strength in so many of these, awesome teams that they've had over the years. And it is a clear weakness in this game. And is Philly the team that can take advantage of it as well as other teams? I don't know. Philly's offense has looked so kind of just disorganized all over the place that I do have concerns. Like if this was almost any other team, I'd feel pretty comfortable actually betting against San Francisco, just because despite what Saleh's doing, trying to hold everything together, you got to give him a little credit. He's a great just defensive mind in general, but man, this is a real ragtag crew. They just lost 2 more linebackers as well, which is especially big. When you're going against a team with Saquon Barkley and Lane Johnson likely coming back. I believe the practice report should be out any second now, but it is reported that he's going to play. Schefter pointed it out, and then a couple insiders as well. I believe he's going to suit up in this one. And on the other side, you got the other, legendary offensive lineman in Trent Williams, kind of a little bit more questionable to me. I do not feel very confidently that he's going to suit up in this one. So obviously you have a huge swing there with 2 spectacular Hall of Famers. One, I think on the Philly side plays and one on the San Francisco side, I don't. But I just see a lot of paths to victory here. I think Philly should be able to run the ball pretty well in this game. Wide open holes last week. I could have turned that game off after the second drive. I had absolutely no confidence in them to come back. And so when you're looking at a defense that's just this beat down, this injured, going up against, the offensive talent that Philly has, I think they're going to be able to run the ball. And then when eventually we see more stacked boxes, we see a little bit more attention, I mean, both Smith and Brown should be able to win one-on-one on the outside. And if there's one thing Hurts can do, he's not throwing over the middle, but those deep balls to the sidelines. I mean, he can cash in on those. And for me, San Francisco just has to do a lot, I think, on offense to win this game. And the Eagles, just like it seems like with every Fangio system, first half of the year is a little rocky. As the communication gets better, things start to lock in. And guess what? It's playoff times, and Eagles are looking like one of the best defenses in football once again. And once again, the Eagles are going to make you work for it with Fangio. They're going to make you take your time. They're going to make you go down the field, and they're going to make you earn it and not turn the ball over. I don't know if I have enough trust in San Francisco to do that. I think Philly wins this game, and I think they probably look kind of good doing it as well. So I wish the line didn't get out here as much. I feel like it almost has to close closer to 3.5. I feel like there might be some San Fran resistance at some point. Just because the general public does not seem to be a fan of, Philly's offense for good reason. AJ Brown can play, there's been a lot of problems, but I think this is a game where they can win. I don't think San Fran has got quite enough flack, I guess, for the defensive side of the ball, frankly.
I pretty much see this exactly the same way. Salah has done a great job working with this ragtag group, as you said, but if Philly's going to get right on offense, and like you said, I think this is run-centric game plan. Try to get chunk plays in the passing game. You scored 27-plus points against San Francisco, which would be a spike game for Philly. That's very much on the table for me. And like you also alluded, Kyle Shanahan's a great coach. Him and Sean McVay, I think, are the two best coaches in the league. Vic Fangio's one of, I'm going to say him and Brian Flores are the two defensive play callers where if I'm putting someone against Kyle Shanahan to mitigate him, Fangio is one of the guys. And the one matchup I really like here from the Eagles side is Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis is owning A-gap against this banged-up 49ers offensive line. I think that's the key to this game. If we were talking about this earlier this week, I would have loved it at 3. I would have expected it to move. 4.5 is like we don't, we're gentlemen. We don't bet bad lines. It would still be Philly or pass for me, but literally see it exactly the same way as used to.
I think this is a tough part for me is I've watched a lot of Philly games this year. And obviously they've been in and out with a lot of these guys, right? I think if Nakobe Dean actually comes back and is fully healthy, they said they expect him to play. I saw Fangio talked about him playing. I think that's huge, obviously, with the 2 tight ends. They've been using, Kittle. Obviously, hopefully he's coming back and being healthy there. I just think I'd rather just play the over in this game, bro. I think San Francisco scores on them, man. I really don't know how I'm going to say in a game with Shanahan as an offensive coach in a game that we're going to go under 44 here. I think San Francisco's scoring. And I know that if you look at, talent-wise, I definitely would probably lean towards the Eagles, right? I love Bond. He's a Badger. He's one of my dudes. I love watching him play. Nakobe Dean, like I said, is coming back in this spot. But I don't know. I think if anything, I don't take a side, and I'm going to take the over because I think San Francisco, they've been in these games, man. They've been playing these types of shootout games ad nauseum. Right. And I know that the Eagles should be able to slow the game down, right? They should be able to run the ball as much as they want. But how many times have we seen this defense? I mean, they did it against Seattle, right? In that Seattle game, they still got to shoot out in some of those spots, right? They're getting those big chunk plays. We got Juwan Jennings, I know, back in there, even after he gets punches thrown against him in these games in there too. But if Kittle's coming back and I still got CMC in there, I think I'd just rather play the over. Because I think Philly will be able to score on this defense, like you guys mentioned. But I still think I'm going to have to trust a little bit more in Shanahan to, get a couple of those, bigger plays. And obviously trusting Kittle to break one tackle, and he's one of the best yards after the catch guys out there at the tight end position. So I think I'd rather just play the over in this spot than trying to, pick and choose a side between these two good coaches.
And I will say the Eagles, I mean, they have a clear weakness on the chessboard, right? That cornerback 2 position has been relentlessly targeted all year long. Obviously, DeJean, one of the best slot guys in football, and then on the outside as well. But you can only guard one of these guys, right? Ricky P is coming back, it looks like, as well, in addition to Jennings. And so can they generate explosives? And kind of like Ryan pointed out, can they do it before the interior pass rush kind of collapses the pocket? I think you're going to have to ask Purdy to do some pretty impressive stuff in this one. And I don't know. I'm just not as confident. I'm curious what like CMC catches is. I feel like we see a lot of
7
looking downfield and, check down. And if CMC was a little bit more efficient this year on the ground, maybe I'd feel a little bit better about San Fran, even though it's obviously a strength on strength. Like Philly's D-line is not someone you're looking to run on. But at the end of the day, they have been able to just kind of lean into some of these CMC 30 touch games in the past and win it in ugly fashion. I just don't think that's the path to victory. My only problem with the over in this one is just both of these two teams have the potential to have quarter-long drives, and it wouldn't be surprising to anyone, especially with the way these DCs work. Saleh, obviously, with all the injuries, has been very zone heavy, conservative zone heavy, just you can't beat us deep. And then we know Fangio is very, familiar and able to kind of keep these guys to some of these, non-chunk plays, eliminating explosives. So if we just have these super, super long drives, I think that's kind of your enemy to the total here.
I like that take on CMC's receptions too, or targets, anything like that. When I think of like what teams should do, how do you mitigate a pass rush disparity? And you have one of the literal best pass catching running backs in the history of the game. So I like that concept too, man.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, we're gonna be relying on a lot of yards after the catch, obviously, in a spot like this when you got Kittle and CMC, and I'm hopefully Kittle's back, right, and fully healthy. I think I saw he's obviously going to play his playoffs, but even if he's limited at any point, right, obviously that's a huge guy out there, but. Yeah, it was just nice to see Purdy take over a couple games. Obviously not the last game, but even against like the Bears, I mean, putting up 42 on there. Like I'm not a huge fan of that Bears defense already. Like I don't think that they're obviously looking to turn you over more than stop you and just more of a red zone team. But they put them in. They scored inside the red zone very well against them, and that's kind of been where the Bears have been good. Has been in the red zone and making you kick field goals. So being able to score. 7, right? That's what we need. We no field goals, and obviously with Philly too. Hey, just keep running that tush push, and let's get those touchdowns, not field goals. That's what we need to hit that over there at 44.5 on that one, and another mid-40s total. We got 2 games left. Appreciate you guys sticking with us. We're 40 minutes in, 120 of you guys joining us. Thank you so much for making us a part of your Wednesday. And we get to talk another fun game and another game. I know we talked about the Patriots and their schedule. I feel like ad nauseum in this spot, but now you get a 3.5, right? We're there 3.5 at home in this spot against the Chargers, that beat up Chargers offensive line. Is this the game we start to see that really take a hold again? But 46.5 total too as well. I didn't look at weather or anything there. Obviously the Chargers going across country. And we don't get to play in SoFi, right? It's going to be a little different playing in the elements. I'll have to take a peek at that while one of you guys takes us away. But I'll let you start this one off. Ryan, we got a 3.5 point total or 3.5 point spread. This is on DraftKings, obviously with line shopping. If you guys are looking at putting bets in now, I would definitely line shop. These are all DK lines. But we got the Patriots minus 3.5 with the MVP runner-up possibly now with Stafford taking the reins with Drake May and this Patriots team with Vrabel taking the lead. Any thoughts on this one as we get going into the last 2 games?
Yeah, this is one of, if not the most interesting game on the slate to me because I have kind of an odd relationship with the Patriots. First, I love Mike Vrabel. Drake May's better than I thought he was going to be. I have no pushback on him. I actually think him and Justin Herbert are kind of like close to equals. I also have seen all of the Patriots games, so I've seen them play 7-on-7 defense. On offense, it's basically been 7-on-7 games all year. They haven't really faced real pass rushes. They don't face one here against the Chargers either, but I think the talent disparity, which has been the Chargers' problem for most of the years, like they've been down there 2 offensive tackles. I think it's close in this game. Coaching's the same. I think coaching's a wash, and the quarterback again is a wash. I think these 2 teams are pretty even. I'm going to take the Chargers plus 3.5. I think they might lose, but I think this is going to be close. I'll take them with the hook. Over under, I have no interest in that at all. I think that's pretty good. I think maybe I would lean under, if anything, but no conviction there. I do kind of like the Chargers plus 3.5, though.
Yeah, I kind of like the way you broke that down, honestly, because I've been going back and forth on this one a lot as well, and I do think kind of when you simplify things, I agree that these teams are actually pretty even, and so maybe one team shouldn't be getting 3.5 here. Obviously, the one thing I guess I'm not as much there with the market sentiment that like the Patriots are overrated due to their easy schedule. I think they showed enough in competitive games and then took care of business. Obviously, winning margin by 10, like covering spreads at the, not just the widest rate in the league. Like when they're, 10, 14 point favorites, they win and they still win by margin. So it's like they're doing what they're supposed to. And can the Chargers kind of, I guess exploit that is the question. My biggest thing is just the pass rush for the Patriots versus the Chargers O-line. I mean, obviously, it's well documented that this Chargers O-line is not only one of the worst in the playoffs, it's one of the worst in football this year. Really, only an embarrassing Raiders squad kind of takes a little bit of the attention away there. But I mean, they can't really run block very well. They can't pass block very well. And Herbert has been living in constant duress all year long. Patriots, bottom 10 pressure rate team. We got to see the injury report as well. That's a big thing. Obviously, Milton Williams for the run game is huge. I've been singing his praises all year long, and it immediately was shown when he left the run defense, and I don't know. I mean, I love both these quarterbacks. I've been a long-time Justin Herbert fan. I feel like this playoff kind of he's going to crumble in the playoffs thing is way overrated. I think it's kind of like hitting Lamar with that right now too. It's like circumstances beyond the quarterback play a big role in this kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, I'm just worried that like Herbert is not going to have enough time in the pocket here, like, because that's been the issue all year long. And also a guy like Lad McConkey who's been really good, kind of struggling against man coverage in the second half of the year. Patriots not really scared to play man. Obviously Gonzalez for the outside, but Marcus Jones actually pretty good season in the slot this year. A guy that I didn't have high expectations for, but not only on special teams, playing well in the nickel role. So I don't know. I'm kind of still haven't taken any strong, bets on this game or anything. I would probably lean over on the total. Honestly, I do trust both these guys. I trust them to both make chunk plays. And I'm curious. I think if Minter can really shut down Drake May in impressive fashion, I think he could be a head coach for a team next year. I mean, Minter, another guy that I believe is doing a lot with the talent that he's been given this year, and has schematically been one of the most impressive guys in the league. Because, right, the Patriots, they don't live and die, but they really excel down the field. And the Chargers are going to do everything possible to make you convert on 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4, over and over and over again. And I like May. I think he can do it, but I think they're going to make it pretty hard for him. So I guess with the points, I kind of have to lean the Chargers, if I think it's this even, but I'm probably not going to be betting it.
Yeah, my thing here is I'm really interested to see how this goes if they're able to keep the big plays out of it, right, for the Chargers here. And the reason I say that is they're very, very good, very, very good in the red zone defensively, making you kick field goals, right? That's really what they're bend no break. Obviously, when you don't have elite playmakers like those guys that kind of game wreck on that defense outside of really Derwin James, I'm kind of curious there, right? And I look at New England as well, and I believe they're third worst in terms of red zone touchdown percentage. Giving those up, I think it's like 67%. Like, it's pretty high up there. When I'm looking on the rankings here, they're way towards the bottom, and I was very, very surprised at that defensively that they're giving up those touchdowns. So I also like the special teams game. That's why I kind of like the 3.5 there, because if I'm going to a rookie, right, for the New England Patriots in this spot versus my boy, obviously everybody knows here I'm a Cameron Dicker fan because he's made a lot of money for us in terms of points, kicking points and stuff like that. He's been really, really good. We get to have one of the guys who's, the most accurate in NFL history versus a rookie in a game like this. I think he's like 84% on the year, which is obviously pretty good for a rookie. But, it's playoffs now, right? It's playoffs now. Now it's everything kind of gets, pushed up a notch. We've been talking about Tyler Loop. He was good. He was pretty good this year. And then you get in those pressure cookers, and 44 yards looks like it's a mile. So now you obviously have a little bit more trust there. Obviously Harbaugh's a good coach too. And, maybe playing so he probably wants that win so he gets the microphone after and gets to talk about his brother getting another head coaching job, right? He's got to get that out there too. So just a little extra incentive along in there as well. But yeah, I'm curious to see if those red zone drives get into touchdowns. Obviously, I think the Chargers have a to be able to block. I've watched way too many of these games where Herbert's running for his life, and luckily for him, he's very athletic and, kind of turns those into like 5-yard gains, whereas most quarterbacks take those for like 12-yard sacks. So very interesting game. I do lean with the Chargers, though, a little bit here on that 3.5. Hopefully you can find a 4 around in the market if you do go look around.
It's interesting, too, because Herbert has his highest rushing prop I've ever seen him have before. It's at 28.5, 29.5 on most books right now. He's normally a guy that's in the high teens to low 20s, so obviously they expect that. And I think we all kind of would have to, once again, how that offensive line plays, knowing guys that, put their body on the line a little bit more when it matters here. So I think Herbert rushing could be interesting just because he's, I think, going to kind of be forced to, whether he likes it or not. And I guess the final thing we didn't really talk about is I'm curious if either of these teams are going to be able to run the ball. Like Henderson has obviously had a lot of highlight-worthy plays and also been stuffed at the line of scrimmage a lot as well. Stevenson been better in the second half of the year, but also against some, pretty lackluster defenses. Chargers aren't only a good, pass defense, they've been a good rush defense as well this year. So, and on the other side, Amarion Hampton, I mean, with Milton Williams back there, I don't really have a ton of faith in this team to create space for him. You know what I mean? So maybe he's another guy that I could see benefiting from the checkdowns very consistently where, okay, traditional run game isn't working. We got to get our guy the ball in space a little bit more and see what he can do. But with that being said, like if neither team are going to be able to run, both guys are going to be chucking it around a lot. I think that makes me, lean towards the over a little bit more right here as well.
Interesting. Yeah, for sure. For sure, yeah. We got to punch those in, right? We got to punch those red zone opportunities. We got to punch in for 7 on those. And the Steelers get a home game sneaking in there, right? We get to sneak it in there. I obviously I've watched a lot of Rodgers in my day, man. I've watched a lot of Rodgers. Houston -3 in this spot, 39.5, lowest total on the board. I can talk first a little bit here, and I think I immediately messaged Stu after I saw them win. I'm like, how are the Steelers going to score this week? Like, how are they going to score? Like, are we going to run the ball? Probably not. Houston obviously a really good front 7. Are you going to throw it to your one option, DK Metcalf? Well, you're going to get Stingley. Okay, now what are we doing here? Like, they've really heavily relied on running backs and tight ends. And I really just don't know how they score in this game. And then you obviously have CJ Stroud on the other side. They got, really reliant on Nico Collins through the passing game. But my biggest thing, too, is I liked what I saw in that last game of the season when you had no Nico Collins. They sat him. And we got to see some of those younger guys step up and get in a bigger role. Hutchinson, I think, had like 6 or 7 catches in that game. Oh, man, I'm blanking on the other one. Who's the other one? Who's the other? Knowles in there?
Iowa State boys.
Yeah, so obviously you get to see them step up in a spot where Nico Collins sits here. I think I lean with Houston. I just think this is a really low-scoring game. So, like, 3 points is, that's a lot of points in a 39 total. So I do think I lean with Houston. If I do, I'll probably just take a money line spot on them and maybe add in, an alt total or something like that in there as well. But I just don't know how the Steelers are going to score so heavily reliant on the yards after catch with Gainwell. Like watching that Ravens game, dude, Gainwell had like 3 plays of like 15-yard catches, and it was like 18 yards after the catch. I'm like, you're not doing that on Houston, dude. Like obviously DeMeco Ryans is one of the best defensive guys out there. I think just with how I've been talking, I think I have to lean the under, but I think I might almost just more towards like the Steelers team total under in this one because I'm a big fan of DeMeco Ryans. I just don't know how they move the ball with the Arthur Smith offense. So we'll see how it goes. Either one of you guys have thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I don't really want to be a Steelers backer, obviously, but I don't really want to be a Texans backer either. Like, I've kind of defended the Texans more than most people just because I do think their defensive unit can be game-breaking, and I think that's what you're kind of looking for in, like, the postseason is teams that can completely, like, take over games with units. The concern I have with Houston is they stopped blitzing a lot at the end of the year. Lassiter has been banged up, and he's questionable for this, and they haven't looked their same self. And I don't want to overreact, but like the Raiders had their best game of the year against them. Like Riley Leonard, even though it was only in the first half, Riley Leonard took care of business against their starters in the first half as well. Lassiter back would be huge because then you not only have one top 5 corner, you have 2 top 15 corners on the field at the same time. But also, interestingly, like the Steelers, you can probably skate by because their number 2 is Marquez Valdez-Scantling, or I guess Adam Thielen at times as well. So they've got the Rodgers retirement home out there. And I just don't know if that's necessarily the right team to take advantage of this weakness. But every team, I mean, it's so obvious what the Steelers do. They're not hiding anything. You know what I mean? They come out, they check the ball down. Aaron Rodgers has had a pretty historically low air yards per attempt this season, and then they're going to use that to open up a deep shot or 2 down the field to presumably DK Metcalf. I don't know if they're necessarily going to be able to stop DK Metcalf. Obviously, a guy like Stingley, I would say, is one of the more prepared players in football to do just that. But what I'm more interested in is how they slow down this running back group, right? Because if you're playing a conservative zone and you're letting those 4-yard checkdowns turn into 10 yards with yards after catch, like Houston is one of the best tackling teams in football. They trigger downfield aggressively early in snaps. They're risk takers at times because they have so much trust in their system and their communication. And I don't think you're going to get away with checking the ball down 4 yards at a time. I don't think they're going to be sitting in a conservative zone. I think they're going to man up and ask you to make Kenneth Gainwell make tight window catches, which is something that running backs are not used to doing. So I love Ryans. I have a lot of trust in him. He alters defensive game plans more than almost any coach in football. And I think the Steelers are a game planable offense. And I just don't know if Rodgers has enough juice left in the tank to get this one done. Although you do got to give him credit. A lot of people watch Phillip Rivers and they go, oh, nobody controls the line of scrimmage like this anymore. And outside of that, timeout snafu thing where he couldn't hear, I mean, watching him, especially in that Ravens game, just every play, kind of dominate at the line of scrimmage is fun. And I feel like football fans should appreciate that a little bit more, regardless of what you think of Rodgers. Has a little bit more juice in the tank than I expected, but I don't think it's going to be enough unless Jaylen Warren has a really good game. I think they're going to have to lean early and often on him. I think that's their best path to victory, but I don't know if they're going to be successful there. But one thing I guess I didn't touch, the Houston offense sucks. So that's concerning. They're going to have to rely on explosive plays. They can't run the ball. Jawar Jordan has looked better than Woody Marks. And by the way, I made a decent amount of money in Woody Marks in college. I don't think he's that great. I don't think he should be the running back 2, or he should be the, part of a committee. So asking him to fully take over, especially in a positive game script, does leave the back door wide open because they haven't really been able to run the ball. I think they're going to score on deep bombs to Jane Higgins and Nico Collins because the Steelers will play aggressive and they'll give you those opportunities. But if Houston doesn't connect, then they're probably going to look just as ugly against the Steelers pass rush. So I didn't mention that, but that is my concern with Houston. It's just the offensive side of the ball. But even given all that, I'll still take Houston at -3 right here.
Yeah. For me, if we had CJ Stroud's rookie season offense with this Texans defense right now, I think Houston would come out of the AFC. I'd be willing to bet on it right now. Like you said, their offense stinks. That's my concern. If this game was Texans-Ravens, I think this would be the game where every other team in the AFC is glad they're playing each other because these are the 2 teams you don't really want to play. But with the Steelers, like you guys said, I also don't know how Pittsburgh's really going to generate offense. Aaron Rodgers has had his moments this year. He's had 5-ish really good games for a guy who's over 40 years old. There's also been another handful of times where he looks like a guy who's my age. And I think this matchup from a talent perspective, I would be very surprised if Pittsburgh generates anything in offense. And the Steelers defense, I would say this is the worst Steelers defense of my adult life. I haven't done the math on that. I haven't gone back and looked at, 2005 or anything like that. But I think they can conceivably win this game against Houston, given, that's more of a bet against Houston's offense than anything else. But I definitely don't want to bank on it. So I like Houston. I like the under. I like Pittsburgh's under team total.
Yeah, I think I just looked at it on DraftKings. It's 17.5 right now for that Pittsburgh team total. Maybe we see not ice in the veins Chris Boswell anymore after missing that huge one, dude. Kickers they're like goalies, man. In some of these games, like you get in your head, man, you're out. Boswell's been as automatic as you can make him, and then he obviously that's a big miss in that game. Luckily, they were able to sneak out of that one there. So we got through all those games under an hour, guys. That was pretty good. We went through a super wild card weekend that quickly. Yeah, so I don't obviously we don't have to go through and say it's a big screen game because every one of these can be big screen games because they're on by themselves. So we usually like to pick our game of the round that we're going to have on the big screen, but we get to watch all these. But I guess for me, obviously going into that Packers Bear ones, I'm gonna probably be, I don't know. Hopefully you guys see me on Monday. Hopefully I don't get into like a fight or anything, and I'm down in here with like 50-50 Bears Packers fans. So hopefully we make it through and no issues, no injuries going to a bar or something watching that game. So should be fun. Stu, any final thoughts on the weekend? Obviously we'll be back Friday, but what's your thoughts here?
No, I mean, I'll say if anyone has any quick questions, you can drop them in. If not, obviously we have a bunch of time before these games start, so feel free to just drop them in the comments. One of us will get to them by the time the Sunday slate rolls around, but I'm excited. I mean, I think we got a fantastic slate of games. I think we had some pretty good breakdowns for them. And now I'm just excited to sit back and watch some football because, like you said, you don't have to be flipping between Red Zone and 4 other channels. You can just kind of watch everyone and enjoy them. And I would say for me, my big screen game is going to be, clearly the one I'm most excited for, Herbert versus May. I think for me, I'm just very curious to see how that one plays out. And then the one that's not going to be the big screen, I was originally going to go to the bar once I found out Al Michaels was commentating your boys over there. I was originally going to go. Now that's likely not happening, but maybe I'll have to turn some music up real loud or something. That'll probably be a little bit more exciting. Or if someone's got one of these YouTube dual streams or something, I'd rather watch Peyton Manning and the Manning brothers with like Marshawn Lynch, who's not even watching the game commentating because, man, it's been rough in some high leverage situations. But yeah, great slate of games. I'm pumped.
Yeah, it's time for the great Al Michaels to hang him up. Sadly, I agree.
What game, I guess, Ryan, what game are you most looking forward to for the weekend here?
Oh, your game, Bears Packers. I think that's now the best rivalry in the league. It's the historic best one, and I think it's returned to prominence going forward. So that's definitely the one I'm looking forward to the most.
Awesome. I guess I won't double up on that. You guys already know that's probably my spot, but I'm like I said, very, very excited for that San Francisco Philly game. I'm very excited to see if Shanahan can work some magic, if he can work some magic here and make something happen. So super excited for the weekend. Ryan, if you want to let guys know where they can find you, we have 135 still in here, over an hour in here. Where can they all find it?
Ryan Reynolds, NFL on the X Machine. I do the other things too, but I'm mostly a Twitter guy.
Awesome. Well, we will make sure you guys, all you guys, make sure you go follow him, his X or Twitter. I never know what to say anymore. Like I said, I just say either one, but make sure you guys pop over in the description of the video that has the link over to his Twitter X spot. But we appreciate you guys all tuning in. We will be back on Friday, get to talk some props. It's prop market time. We get to go talk about that. Maybe even do like a playoff best ball live on the show. So it should be fun. It should be a fun time. And hopefully we'll be back and making some money with you guys. So have a good one, guys. Best of luck. And we will catch you guys on Friday.